I would say the biggest user of our kiosk is someone who needs the crypto instantly.
Mm,
A lot of these exchanges online have like really large lockups, like probably like 3 to 5 days,
right.
right? I mean, like it's very, very long to get your crypto versus, if you need to like go into a mint now or like an NFT mint or whatever it is, or like a new offering or whatever you need to do. But it's like if you need the crypto in less than 3 to 5 days, then basically, a crypto ATM is a great solution for you.
This content is brought to you by VeChain, which is a leading enterprise-grade Layer 1 public blockchain spearheading a digital revolution from a sustainable, highly scalable smart contract platform. The VeChain blockchain has many unique features, which makes it an ideal choice for Web3 applications. VeChain is working with many great enterprises such as PwC, Givenchy, BMW, and Walmart China. Most recently, they partnered with the Boston Consulting Group to build a revolutionary decentralized application ecosystem. I'm a big believer in this project. I have been since 2018. I've been a VET token holder for years. And this blockchain is highly scalable, great with security and speed, and it has low energy consumption. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, please visit vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Welcome to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. With me today is Daniel Polotsky, who is the founder and chairman of CoinFlip. Daniel, great to have you on.
Yep. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
So, Daniel, want to learn about CoinFlip and all the great things you guys are doing, but let's start with your background. Tell us about where you're from and what's your professional background.
For sure. I'm from the northern suburbs of Chicago. My parents actually immigrated to the US from the Soviet Union in 1991. So
Mm.
I'm kind of like Soviet American. I guess that's the combination I have. And I've basically been in the Chicagoland area all my life. I have, in terms of my professional background, I've never had like any other full-time job other than CoinFlip that like was like for an extended period, but I did a lot of sales stuff. I sold Cutco knives, so that's kind of how I cut my teeth in sales. I've always liked sales because I felt like it was always very like character building, kind of like being told no and just kind of like coming back from um, being told like, it's not going to work out, whatever, just kind of developing a thick skin. I did sales for Uber. I did sales for Coca-Cola as well. So that's kind of like one part of my professional background. And then I just did a lot of like traditional finance internships in college. I worked at Morgan Stanley. I worked at RJ O'Brien. I worked at Citadel. So I guess like what I do now is kind of a combination of like the sales and entrepreneurship of the Cutco knives, Uber, Coca-Cola, and the traditional finance of like Morgan Stanley, RJ O'Brien, Citadel. I feel like combined together, it's kind of like Bitcoin entrepreneurship because there's a lot of like
Oh, for
overlapping
sure.
things.
So, what was your first encounter with Bitcoin and when did it click for you? What was your aha moment?
Honestly, the first time I learned about Bitcoin, it was when the price was going up a lot in 2013. And what happens when the price goes up is everyone starts to report on it and kind of go crazy. I mean, it wasn't as big back then, but there was still kind of this like jump, where the price was going up to like over $1,000 a coin, and people were talking about it. And honestly, you know, I didn't really get it at first. I thought that, just whatever, this Bitcoin thing, sure, like sounds like a bunch of like hype. But I think like my finance and my econ background kind of helped me out to understand it. I did a little bit more research, and then over time it like dawned on me. It was kind of like, okay, wow, there's this like currency asset, it's not issued by the government, could be sent halfway across the world 24/7 for a few dollars. Like compare that to like a bank wire transfer, all on a publicly available fraud-proof database. And all you had to participate was to download an app. So it really was something that was new. I kind of at the time thought of it as like lightweight gold. And I thought that it was really revolutionary, but it was very kind of difficult to buy crypto and to have the service that I felt like was needed to enter a new industry, which is kind of, I guess, how the idea for CoinFlip came to be.
Mm. And, you know, what was the process like starting CoinFlip? When did it go from, I get Bitcoin, I understand what's happening here. I want to make it easy for people to be able to access this asset. How did that idea go to this becoming a company?
I think it just kind of stemmed from my experience buying Bitcoin back in the day. It was not as easy as I thought. Like the online services really, like even Coinbase, whatever, it was taking forever to onboard you as a customer. There was no real customer service where you could actually speak to anyone. The crypto wasn't released instantly, and I'm like, there has to be a better way. People were literally resorting to like meeting in person at Starbucks to get crypto for cash, and it's like that's not scalable, that's not safe. So that's where the idea of kind of the kiosk came into play. It would be a scalable, safe way to get Bitcoin. You'd be able to talk to somebody 24/7 and you'd be able to get the crypto before you even got back to your car. So it really was just kind of like a convenient way. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was just kind of a college student and I'm like, okay, like I think it would be cool to get people to buy Bitcoin, put a few kiosks down, kind of just see what happens. And I think I was just at the right place at the right time. I found some amazing teammates, and I think that we really ran with it and caught lightning in a bottle. But at first, I just kind of thought of it as just a cool experiment to see what would happen and see if I could, do something and push Bitcoin forward.
Mm. Yeah, and I read that you guys have 4,500 kiosks across like 49 US states and as well as countries like Canada, Australia, and so forth. So you've really grown the business. Tell us about, is it just the ATM business, but do you also have other services as well?
We have other services. Yeah, we are up to almost 6,000 kiosks globally now. But that was kind of the first step is the kiosks definitely have the cash on ramp, the convenience, being able to get crypto instantly. We also launched CoinFlip Preferred, which is our OTC desk. And I think that the
Mm.
really cool part about that is we're going to get on the phone with you regardless of how much, yeah, I mean, there's like some minimum, but even if you're doing like a $5,000, $10,000 transaction, like you can get on the phone with one of our representatives and like talk, and it's basically 24/7 customer support, which is very different than a lot of these other services that won't even pick up the phone. And sometimes, traditional OTC desks won't even take transactions like under $1 million. But, I think that we are really here to like make people learn about crypto and get people crypto into people's hands, and we're going to be able to talk to you, even for like a five, $10,000 trade. So that's something we're really proud of. We also have a venture arm, so we invest in smaller, blockchain projects, hopefully ones that are going to like, take off.
Mm.
And we have our app, which allows people to find locations. It's also a wallet. It allows people to buy and sell crypto. So that's kind of like the four main parts of our business. But yes, of course, we're known for the kiosks mostly.
Oh, for sure. So, tell us about which crypto assets you support. Is it like the top 10? And what's your
Yeah.
plans for adding more and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we are always looking for new crypto assets to add. I mean, we want to be very careful with like regulations and making sure that there's like regulatory clarity before we add new assets. But I mean, the biggest assets that we sell are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. Those are still the biggest ones that retail customers buy, but we probably have around, like 10 assets. And on the OTC desk, we definitely have even more that we support. But I'd say those are the biggest drivers of our business. And I think that the goal is always to add more, especially ones with like really big like community support. I think those always go over well. So I would love to get a little bit more clarity in the US, and then hopefully we can list even more assets and have even more happy customers.
For sure. Yeah, and look, and that's a challenge for not only you, but a ton of other entrepreneurs, right, in the US. And we're all waiting for Congress to act and to figure out what the hell the
Right.
SEC is going to do, the CFTC and all that. But it seems like we're on the path to it. It's just slow, you know.
It is slow. I mean, I think that, good things take time, right? That's what I tell myself at least.
So, walk us through the process. So, let's say I'm the average Joe. I'm going to the supermarket or something. I see a coin flip kiosk, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to grab some Bitcoin. I heard all these news, and I see people investing in it. What's the process for them to do that?
Sure. We try to make it as simple as possible. That's kind of like one of our big value adds. Is you go to the kiosk, enter the required info. The QR code will scan. You scan your QR code, immediately insert the cash, and then you receive crypto before you even get back to your car. So like a lot of these other online exchanges, like they have very long lockups for
Mm.
your crypto. And I think that a big value add of our kiosk is like you're going to get this crypto immediately. And we just really try to like boil it down to make it as simple as possible, especially for people who are new to the space and they, need an easy, quick way to receive crypto that isn't like super intimidating.
Yeah, so it's that simple. You go, you just do the sign up part, put your cash in, bam,
I would say, yeah, less than 5 minutes. And we also have a way that you can pre-register online. Like
Hmm.
if you go online, you can actually register, and then by the time you get to the kiosk, you're basically in and out in a few minutes.
Now you mentioned you guys have an app and it's a wallet service as well. So is that wallet, like the normal wallet experience where I can, if I want to send a family member some of the Bitcoin I bought, right, through CoinFlip, can I do that?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's a fully functioning crypto wallet. We try to make it as user-friendly as possible and also like augment the ATM experience.
Mm. So a question I guess I would have and what users may want to know is uh are, how are you custodying the assets, right? Are you using one of the custodians in the market? Tell us a bit about that.
Are you talking about for a wallet?
Oh, so I guess I apologize. I should give you some more details. Is it a self-custody wallet or are you
Yes,
custodying?
as of now, yes, it's a
Okay.
self-custody wallet. We do like everyone kind of in crypto says like, not your keys, not your coin, and I definitely, I guess, agree with that to an extent, but I think that, some people want to be in charge of their own security, some people don't. So I think that it's good to give customers options and kind of have, a custodial wallet as well where you trust us with your keys as well. But yeah, as of now, it's a self-custodial wallet. So it's all on you to, make
Yeah.
sure that everything is secure, which some people love, some people don't love, which is why I want to maximize optionality.
Yeah, and and we'll talk a bit about this, Daniel, about the demographics and the people who are buying, right, through the kiosk.
Yeah.
But I think I love the idea that you're going to offer both option because I think about like my mom and dad, right? They want
Yeah,
exposure, but let's say my dad walks in and he buys Bitcoin in there. I don't think he's going to want to self custody because he's used to the bank
exactly.
custodies all my money and my other assets, right? He's like, what the
100%.
hell is self custody to me? Now I care about self custody and I self custody my assets, right? But then not everyone is in from the same walk of life. Not everyone understands tech to the same degree. And we're at different ages and different demographics. So some people are going to be like, hey, I want it to just be in a safe place that I know about, right? Custody
Exactly.
for me. I don't want to go through the whole private key stuff.
True. And what I always say is like, why either or,
Mm,
right? Like you could have some of your funds in
mm,
self-custody wallets. You can have some of your funds, custody with other people, right? Like it doesn't have to be like this binary choice. Like you could spread out your funds and then maybe that actually lowers your risk because like, yeah, maybe you don't trust Coinbase, but like, do you trust yourself either, right? Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket,
mm. Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Now, tell me a bit about, and if you can, because I know this is
Sure.
maybe proprietary data on your end, um, what type of users, or I should say, what type of demographic of the people who are using the kiosk
Sure.
are you seeing? And I know that may differ in different regions based on
There's a
what you're
lot
seeing.
of different demographics that use the
Mm,
kiosk. It's definitely not just one kind of person. I
mm,
would say the biggest user of our kiosk is someone who needs the crypto instantly.
mm,
A lot of these exchanges online have like, you know, really large lockups, like probably like 3 to 5 days,
Right.
right? I mean, like it's very, very long to get your crypto versus, if you need to like go into a mint now or like an NFT mint or whatever it is, or like like a new offering or whatever you need to do. But it's like if you need the crypto in less than 3 to 5 days, then basically, a crypto ATM is a great solution for you. I'd also say that people who use cash, obviously, we're the only cash on ramp. You can't really go to like
Wow.
Coinbase, right, and like drop off cash. They won't accept it. So
Right.
if it's people who use cash for any reason or get paid in cash, maybe people who are a little bit more wary of traditional financial services, they don't want to pay overdraft fees. They don't want to be, kind of like dealing with their bank. It's like, oh, can I withdraw my money? Can I withdraw only this much? They just kind of want to be in control of their own funds and don't want to deal with traditional financial services. And I think just a lot of it is like kind of people who are intimidated, by the lack of support on an online exchange.
Sure.
And they want to be able to speak to somebody 24/7 and get the support they need before entering, such a new industry. And I think that there are just also investors that may trust us more than online exchanges because there is that like personal touch. You can call somebody 24/7. You can get the support you need, and we try to make it like way less intimidating.
Yeah, I think that's a great service ad, having that phone number, having someone that they can talk to, because it just
Mhm.
goes back to not everyone is at the same level, technology wise, trust level.
Right.
It just it depends on your background, your upbringing, and what you've experienced.
Exactly.
And then I also think about, and I want to make sure I frame this right. Look, there are people who don't, from a financial inclusivity standpoint, they're not there, right? Maybe they're a lower income or whatever it is, but they're trying to break through. They're trying to, maybe they're hearing about investing, but they're like, how do I even do that? And that,
Yeah.
look, that exists in different parts of the world, even in the United States, and I've seen it. But having a kiosk, I don't have to go jump through a ton of hoops. I don't have to learn to be about credited or this or that or whatever. Just simple. Oh, I have $50. I'm going to buy $50 of Bitcoin and I've got an asset that can grow. And then it's that simple for them.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, if you are lacking investment resources, then,
Right.
your purchasing power is kind of being taken by inflation. So it's like if you can get that dollar or whatever into cryptocurrency or something that you can actually invest in, which you could then turn into like, financial, like maybe like a tokenized Tesla stock. I mean, that's more for the future, whatever. But it's just like if you can get into the crypto economy and actually invest with your cash, you're going to be able to maintain or even increase your purchasing power versus like if you kept that cash under a mattress or something like that.
Yeah. And I think, there's more education that's needed to help people in the lower income part of the economy to be able to put their money in assets and let it grow. Because to your point, some may have the outdated knowledge that, oh, well, I need to store all my cash in the bank or under my mattress, but that's not the way. It's a different
Right.
world, different economy with debasement of currencies going crazy, right?
Of
So,
course, yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of inflation and like, especially it's a very immigrant mindset as well, like,
yeah.
you don't like, especially, the US is more or less like a decent place, I think. I mean, I'm from here, I love it here, but like in other countries, you don't trust the banks, you don't trust the stock market or whatever it is. So you like hoard all your money under the mattress, right? And it's like now like the mindset has shifted and like especially, with interest rates being lower or whatever, there's more inflation and it's just like you need to know how to invest your assets to hopefully make them grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what's on your 2024 roadmap.
For sure. I think just expanding the kiosks internationally more, really making this available to people in every single country, places, sometimes where inflation is in the double digits. I
Mm.
think expanding our OTC desk, really offering more services for our high net worth individuals and smaller institutions as well. Continue to make venture investments. I mean, obviously the cycle is probably going to start soon, but really just keep seeding the ecosystem and making sure that it grows, and that kind of like CoinFlip is a part of that. Add features to our app. Right now we have a wallet, buying and selling, but there could be plenty of other features like staking or lending, or there's a whole bunch of options that we can offer our people. And I think that really just kind of reinventing the kiosk to maybe even go beyond crypto. Like maybe we could potentially serve as like a gaming on-ramp for all cash transactions or like bill pay. Or like what I'm really excited about is, if we have enough of these kiosks internationally, then you've kind of created like a global remittance network of just like different hubs, and you can put cash into an ATM in Chicago and pick it up in Mexico using like crypto as the rails. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm like, really excited about that like working on.
Yeah, I mean that there's a lot of possibilities there. If you have, like you said, a network of these kiosks in position in different parts of the world, um, and then with the app that you have as well, this it just opens up a lot of possibilities, and people maybe bypassing the Western Unions and the money grabs,
Exactly.
right, which take high fees and so forth.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Right on the money. Just really trying to reinvent that process and hopefully make it better and faster.
Question about regulators. I don't know
Sure.
how this applies to like the ATM kiosk business, but obviously exchanges have to do KYC, AML. There's a whole bunch of other things as well. I'm assuming the governments are requiring you to do the same thing here.
Yeah. I mean, we've actually been like there's a lot of like lack of clarity surrounding like SEC and token issuance, but we don't issue tokens. We've actually been regulated by Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, under the Treasury since 2013.
Mm,
They came out and said that if you want to buy and sell crypto, you need to register as a money services business nationally. We also have a bunch of money transmitter licenses across the country on the state level. So our regulation has actually been more clear. Yeah, we take KYC, we do the AML, we do the whole process. And, it's been like that for a long time. So I am thankful that at least our part of the industry has a little bit more regulatory clarity than maybe some of the other parts.
sure. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's talk about the crypto market at large.
Sure.
Obviously, Bitcoin had a massive run up 2023, obviously into early part of 2024. The Bitcoin ETFs were the big news. A lot of buying, a lot of inflows, the performance being incredible. We had a bit of a cool down. The halving took place. What are your thoughts on what took place so far, and what is your outlook for the rest of this cycle?
I mean, I think it's looking a lot like other cycles, minus the massive effects of, the Bitcoin ETF and, some countries getting involved. Like, you run up, there's a kind of like hype going up to the halving. People are definitely, buying more, whatever. And then as the halving actually happens, the halving reward, the reward for mining crypto goes down in half. That means that a lot of miners are now no longer profitable, right?
Mm,
So because they're not profitable, they have to enter bankruptcy. They have to liquidate their holdings. That is obviously a lot of selling pressure, but like once that shakes out, then you have, a demand that's relatively stable, supply that is now less. That obviously creates a jump in the price. Jump in the price creates FOMO amongst, retail investors, and they jump in, and then that kind of creates a speculative bubble. I do think it's really different, a little bit different this time around because you have the ETF. I've actually wrote about like a opinion piece on CoinDesk about this, but you have the ETF that's going to have like reliable inflows and maybe more from, financially savvy financial advisors and institutions that are going to have inflows and buy the dip. So
yeah.
maybe like, you're not going to have these crazy like boom and bust cycles. People will be able to like catch you at the bottom. And also there's a lot of like sophisticated countries like El Salvador who are buying crypto as well, regardless of the price, and maybe even more when the price goes down. So you're not going to maybe have these like massive boom and bust cycles.
Mm,
But I do think that we are, probably in store for one last big ride. It's kind of like the last dance of like the infancy of crypto, where, the Fed is cutting interest rates, the ETF inflows are happening, countries are buying crypto, there's the halving, and it's kind of like this perfect storm. So I do think we have like one last like big ride up, and you see in Coinbase's recent earnings, like uh the volume still isn't equal to what they did in 2021. So I think that retail hasn't even really shown up to the party yet.
Mhm.
So I think that there's going to be some nice things in store for us in the next year, and hopefully there's institutions and countries willing to catch us on the way down.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in agreement with you. There's certainly going to be, I think, less volatility as the asset matures. Like you said, more capital coming in, more of the stable buyers, who are buying for the longer term, for decades out, possibly like countries and so forth. Um, do you see potentially, central banks holding Bitcoin in their balance sheet, let's say 10 years from now?
100%. I think that, it's kind of like game theory, right? It's like one country starts doing it, and then another country doesn't want to be left behind. So they start doing it, that drives up the price, that basically creates more, that makes Bitcoin more of like an acceptable asset nationwide, kind of like a global reserve asset. And then other nations hop on, which further increases the price and increases the stability. And then it kind of is like this, you know, perfect storm where eventually a lot of central banks, probably all of them to an extent, will have some crypto on their balance sheet, just like they probably all hold gold on their balance sheet. And that's going to be, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now a big theme this cycle has been like tokenization, and you got
Yep.
BlackRock tokenizing on Ethereum and other players as well, like Franklin Templeton. What are your thoughts on this? Larry Fink said it's the future of finance. And you mentioned reference earlier tokenization of like a Tesla stock. So are you guys looking at, when this is ready to go, integrating into your service?
Yeah, of course. I think there's nothing cooler than letting somebody in a country with an unstable stock market and where interest is, or inflation rather, is like 10, 15, 20% plus, invest in stable assets. And it's actually an amazing, amazing opportunity for the United States to continue its dominance because now if right now maybe these people are resorting to real estate in the country or I don't know, hoarding cash under a mattress. Like imagine now these people in these countries can invest in a stock that's like a US company, like a Tesla tokenized stock or whatever, a Coinbase tokenized stock or a Google tokenized stock, a mortgage that's in the US. It's like now there's even more demand for US assets and it's even more globalized. And I think that this gives people with, lower income in different countries where, there is an unstable market, an option to grow their wealth, and it also creates massive demand for US assets. So I'm pretty bullish.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and just the possibilities that it opens up, secondary markets and all these things.
Oh,
Um, I know we touched a bit on it earlier, but I would love to get your thoughts on crypto regulations and everything that's been going on.
sure.
What's your outlook? Do you think we see something by 2025? There's a couple bills in the House, couple bills in the Senate. It seems like they want to get stablecoin regulation out the door as soon as possible. What are your thoughts?
I would hope so. I would really hope so. I think that regulatory, like again, like these tokenized assets are a massive opportunity for the United States to get even more ahead than it is now. I think that with regulatory clarity, you're going to make sure that people innovate crypto in the United States versus offshore. And I think that it's already kind of been the lack of clarity has been causing some people to go offshore. And I really do not want to see that continue to happen. So I'm not sure. I would hope that like by 25, 26, it'll be pretty good and it'll probably depend on the elections as well. But I think that the sooner we can get regulatory clarity, the better. I think that that's going to be a massive, massive win for the US. And I really hope that they hurry up.
Yeah. For sure. Daniel, I forgot to ask you earlier about this. So let's say within CoinFlip's app, let's say I buy some Ethereum.
Yep.
Do you offer staking for proof of stake tokens?
Not currently, but it definitely is on the roadmap for sure. I
Oh,
think that's a no-brainer.
for sure. Yeah, and I think that's a great way for people to earn passive income, going
Passive
along the
income,
theme what we've been talking about. So if you buy a couple $100 of ETH and you can stake some of it or whatever through like a larger pool and earn that passive income, that's really great for a lot of people.
100% agreed.
Um,
100%.
awesome. So I also want to get your thoughts on central bank digital currency. So governments taking the blockchain, tokenizing their
Yeah.
fiat currencies on it. People are seeing the pros, but also there's a lot of cons and potential worries of abuse of that power. But what are your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, I'm a little bit of a bigger fan of decentralized stable coins because I think they offer competition and kind of allow people to use the stable coins they like best. CBDC, central bank digital currency, it's a bit scary for me because it kind of allows the government to have a lot of oversight over people's transactions. And I think that right now our government, honestly, a lot of people are like, our government's crazy, our government's a tyranny, whatever. I think that as far as international governments go, our government's actually probably one of the better ones. But, power unchecked probably creates more opportunity for tyranny. And I think there needs to be systems in place for governments to be held accountable, which is kind of like what our country was founded on. So central bank digital currencies, they definitely worry me a bit. I think that it's very important for consumers to have options and go where they want best, whether it's a stable coin or crypto or fiat or cash or whatever it is, like, just forcing everyone in down one path. I don't know if that's the best way to do this.
Yeah, definitely agree with you on that. Got some wrap-up questions here for you. The first is, if you could create your own metaverse, what would the theme be?
I feel like I'm a big tennis player, so I feel like it would be like Wimbledon Village, but not just like I saw Wimbledon in IMAX in 2011, though in 3D, the final of Wimbledon. I don't know why they did that, but they did, and it was really cool. But I think like taking it a step further, like what if you could see like Wimbledon Village from the perspective of a player or a coach? You know
Sure.
what I'm saying? Like if you could kind of like be a fly on the wall for like their preparation and like what they're doing. Like I think that's something that would be so cool and so new. Like not only you're not just a fan now, you're literally like seeing all the preparation that goes into like a player actually like preparing for their match and like the emotions that they face along the way. And I think that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, agreed. And it not only just tennis, but like other sports, other activities where you have that incredible POV
Yeah.
that we've never, but it's immersive, right? It's not like 2D or whatever, but it's like fully immersive. I can do a 360 and like you said, just get a great POV on what's
You
happening,
could
how things go. That would be incredible.
you could see a player's conversation with their coach.
Yeah,
You could see like what happens after they lose a match. Like you could like experience sports like and a lot of other events like never before, you know.
absolutely. Rapid fire questions. First is favorite food.
Okay, this is really basic, but I'm a big foodie, but I will say that the cheeseburger wins and favorite drink is Coca-Cola. Like just all American, very basic.
Favorite musician or band.
Travis Scott,
Favorite movie.
also very basic. Shawshank Redemption.
It's a great one, of course.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's classic. A favorite book.
Um, God, I'm just coming off as the most basic person on earth, but I love the classics. Like for fun, I really love the Harry Potter series. For more education, I like Sapiens and Lord of the Flies.
Man, I Lord of the Flies had a big impact on me as a kid, and it's become one of my favorite books. I remember watching the movie as well, so that's
Yeah,
on my list too.
right.
When you're not working at CoinFlip, what are you doing for fun?
I'm actually very eclectic. I have a ton of hobbies. I love investing in new projects, always starting something new. I love playing tennis. I do martial arts. I lift weights. I host events and bring people together. That's something I like to do. Love to crack jokes. I'm somewhat of a biohacker. I like just kind of like pushing the line and seeing, how I can always optimize my physical performance and longevity. I'm a
Mm.
big foodie, even though I said my favorite food is cheeseburgers and Coca-Cola. It does go a little bit farther than that. I love restaurants, love researching history and politics, love practicing languages, Russian, Spanish, like giving back to Chicago and people around me, giving to charities around Chicago. So I have a lot of interests and very little time to pursue them. So that's kind of one of my big dilemmas in life.
Daniel, great stuff, man. Pleasure chatting with you, and excited for the future updates around CoinFlip. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
This content is brought to you by VeChain, which is a leading enterprise-grade Layer 1 public blockchain spearheading a digital revolution from a sustainable, highly scalable smart contract platform. The VeChain blockchain has many unique features, which makes it an ideal choice for Web3 applications. VeChain is working with many great enterprises such as PwC, Givenchy, BMW, and Walmart China. Most recently, they partnered with the Boston Consulting Group to build a revolutionary decentralized application ecosystem. I'm a big believer in this project. I have been since 2018. I've been a VET token holder for years. And this blockchain is highly scalable, great with security and speed, and it has low energy consumption. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, please visit vchain.org. Link will be in the description.